Hey everyone, this is Cardfight, bring you another standard match. Today we do have, yet again, Dragjeweled on the left, and on the right we have Prison. So this is a matchup that we have seen before, but let's go ahead and see if, Prison can miraculously create a new result. But anyways, we are starting off with Dragjeweled. Dragjeweled going first is actually much better for them. Interestingly enough, I don't think I mentioned this in the last video, but these are actually both grade 4 decks. So theoretically, both of them do want to go first in order to get to their grade 4 first. So Prison is technically already at a little bit of a disadvantage here. Now Prison is, like I said previously, is one of those few decks that can damage a knight at 0 if the player chooses. But looks like we are maybe gonna go for that, but I guess we're just checking soul charge. So it looks like we are not going to be going for that. Just going to be swinging at the Vanguard. Going to be giving that 1 damage, which honestly, like I've said before, the way to kill Dragjeweled is to just put everything on board and swing as hard as possible, hitting into a heal trigger there. We would have really preferred if that were a critical trigger, but unfortunately it is not. I believe that's actually the counter attack heal, which is definitely not a bad choice in this meta, considering you have things like Leonor as well as Drajeweled that are running amok and doing all that multi-attacking. Riding up into the Jewel Core, calling it behind the Vanguard to try to ensure ourselves hitting here so we get the extra soul charge, but looks like we are going to be flipping over a critical trigger there. That's going to allow us to go ahead and soul charge. And then obviously pushing Prison to 2, which is definitely not where you want to be when you are playing Prison. Going to be using the Risado Pink to imprison that Impusa from hand. So getting started with that Prison, but at the same time, that Impusa is a card that can, not only after you call it off from Prison, it can actually get itself off board as well as being a fairly useful attacker. So it looks like we're going to try and keep up the aggression, but unfortunately just with our Vanguard, as we swing 18, probably not going to be guarding that, not hitting into a trigger there. Unfortunately, our tempo of aggression is not really where it needs to be at the moment, but we'll see if we can actually manage to get things rolling. So Dragjeweled riding up, going to be activating the Forbidal, calling out the Stride Fodder Dragon, as well as searching out that grade 4 Dragjeweled for next turn. So we're pretty much all set up here to finish things in the next turn. Alright, so revealing the Dragjeweled, using the Nocturgio skill to counterblast the 1, drawing the card, and then choosing 2 cards from the drop zone to add to the soul. Going to be adding 2 grade 3s, which is honestly just what Dragjeweled needs. You either need a grade 3 or a grade 4 in the soul in order to actually use the grade 4 Dragjeweled. So just going to be using Dragjewel's skill there, counterblasting the 2, soul charging 2. Unfortunately, it looks like we soul charged 2 grade 2, so we are not going to actually be able to draw off of that. But at the same time, we are still in a pretty good position here. Looks like we're soul blasting 1 in order to add back the Impusa. Going to be using the skill of that grade 1 to soul blast 1 and then draw another card. Calling out the Zagon there. Looks like we are going to opt to not soul charge here, but revealing the grade 4 in order to call something straight from the soul. Looks like we're going to be getting that Varpula, and of course this is just the 4 attacks here, I believe. Yeah, just 4 attacks. As we swing the Impusa first, calling the 18 at the Vanguard. So honestly, this is not the best situation for Prison. 4 attacks already is not going to be the greatest, as we do guard that first 18 attack. Going to be swinging the Vanguard, reducing the Vanguard's power to 1, and then of course using Varpula here, which is actually the correct play instead of Impusa, because you can only use one of their skills, but by putting the Varpula back in Soul, you do get to draw a card, and then of course it was called off with Zagon, so it would have gone back into the Soul anyway, so you're basically just getting a free draw here. As we flip over the first drive check, is going to be a critical, giving the power to Impusa, critical to the Vanguard, and we're going to see a second critical trigger here. Going to be pushing Prison all the way to 5 here. We do see a defensive draw trigger there, but do remember that we are still at basically 1001, so these last 2 attacks are going to be a hefty guard value. So we guarded the first one with that counter heal, the double attack one, which is definitely going to just be enough. But for this next swing, we're going to need at least a 15k guard, I believe. Let's see, that would put us to 25. Yeah, we don't need 15. But it looks like we are going to be guarding with that OT there. And then, of course, using the Impulsive skill during the end phase in order to retire itself and then add something back. Looks like we're going to be adding back that Servant, which is going to be a very powerful attacker during the next turn. So, Prison riding into the grade 3 Seraph, kind of deciding what we need to do. I think what we really need to do here is kind of just win back tempo. There might be an argument to not even using the Imprison skill and just, you know, attacking into that rear guard. Just attack. I don't know what just happened there, but honestly, at this instance, maybe the play here is just swing at the rear guard, damage deny, so that they can only get a maximum of 4 attacks next turn. But it looks like we are actually going to be using Seraph Snow's skill to imprison the 2. And let's see, do we have anything else? We did see the security updater there. Oh, it looks like we have a Penetrate Aquas here. So it looks like instead of going for the damage denial, we are just going to be, you know, just going for the aggression. So we do have the 3 Imprison. So we do get the extra 10k here. Going to be getting the extra drive as well. Drive checking into 2 cards that are basically blanks. And then a critical trigger, pushing Dragjeweled to 3. Or 3 to 4. They do see a heal trigger, but of course, you know, we're at 5 here. So they're not going to be healing as we swing the Penetrate Aquas for 28. Which is a fine number, I guess. Well, especially after the offensive, it is a fine number because, you know, they're going to have to guard with 2 cards anyway. Of course, we see the 15k guard coming out, which is going to be enough. And then, of course, the Rakagor to finish off the 2-card guard, drawing to another grade 4 Dragjewel there, and then just riding it. And in all honesty, it's looking like Prison does have a decent amount of cards in hand, but at the same time, it's not really looking the greatest as we counterblast 1 to call Zagon and the Jewel Core. So basically getting the Jewel Core off board, making it harder to imprison it, and then using the Zagon skill to call out Varpula, calling out the Servant, and then the Rakagor. So we are confirmed those 5 attacks. If we had damage denied during that last turn, we would have been able to maybe endure 4 attacks, but at the same time, hand's not looking the strongest, so it's entirely possible that even with only 4 attacks, Dragjewel would have been able to close things out. But we'll see how the Seraph player handles this Dragjewel turn, which I've said many times, often one turn 4 is enough to kill most players, and of course a turn 2 is a second turn 4 is also enough to basically finish anyone else if they get there. But going into the battle phase, we do put the 2 cards into Soul using the Drajeweled skill, and of course giving plus 15k to the front row, and then swing for 43. Looks like we do see another copy of Explosion Melting Heart here being played, giving that Rock Gore unfortunately only -5. It is -5 until the end of the turn, but with the fact that we were unable to imprison a whole bunch of things during that last turn, means that basically a lot of our cards, we just lose out on a lot of potential shield value, which is honestly the way to counter Prison. If you're having trouble against Prison, all you really have to do is keep the Prison like very small, and then a lot of their cards end up losing value. So yeah, we are going to be, ooh, that is a 4-card guard there, including the Blitz Order, just to guard this 1 attack. Not to mention there are literally 4 more attacks after it, so it's looking like we probably don't have enough if we're committing this much shield already to the first swing, and we're at 5, but it looks like we are just going to opt to bank on that 6 damage heal. It's not going to come, and that is going to be the end of the match. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do those 2 things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.